Are you struggling to find your vision? Are you wondering how some people wake up every day with just this immense purpose and passion to attack their day every single day? Today, we're going to be talking on this episode about how to live your life with that level of passion and to have that vision for what you want your life to look like inside of 3, 5, and 10 years from now. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Montreal's Elite Unleashed, the podcast for hustlers looking to level up their lives. I'm your host, Logan Boyce. With me, as always, is John Ehrlich. How's it going, John?
Hello, hello.
John and I have built a very successful real estate group, team, agency, whatever you want to call it, here in Montreal. And we've done over $500 million of sales volume since its inception. And today we are talking about finding your vision, finding that why.
Yep. Logan and I also are national real estate coaches for real estate team leaders. So finding your why is actually something that we go over quite a lot with our coaching clients.
Absolutely.
And with our direct reports inside of our own real estate team as well. So we thought this was a great way to be able to kick everything off.
Yeah. One of the questions I get asked a lot by pretty much anybody when I go and speak or whatever is consistently, hey, how do you get up in the morning and just want to crush it? How do you wake up in the morning and feel like you're going to kill it? Like wake up with that fiery passion every single day. And it's such an interesting question because it's so hard to answer. And I feel like a lot of people haven't found their passion in their life. And it's a hard thing to find. I don't think it's impossible though. And my answer to that question nowadays, and I'm curious to see what your answer would be, John, but my answer is always, if you don't know what you're looking for, it's really hard to find it. So when you're living your life, let's say you're doing something, maybe you don't really like what you're doing, but if you're acting as if, and you want to succeed at such a high level at that thing that you're doing. So let's say you're a dishwasher at a restaurant. There's a difference between arriving at that job and feeling like, oh, it's a job, I hate it, it's boring, it's beneath me, all that kind of stuff. Or you look at that job and say, I'm going to be the best friggin' dishwasher that's ever entered this restaurant. And everyone's going to think, oh my God, how did we hire this perfect person for this job? How did we even get this guy? How is he even washing dishes? He should be running this place. That's how passionate he is about it.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that person's goal really to be a dishwasher?
No, heck no.
Yeah, they probably have other goals, but while they're dishwashing, they're doing it at the highest possible level because they want people to recognize them for how hard of a worker they are.
Yeah.
Maybe not, their goal isn't being a dishwasher. Maybe they want to actually be co-owner of one of the franchises of this restaurant.
Absolutely.
And they're starting at the bottom, right?
Yeah. And it's how you enter that job. If you're entering it with that kind of lackadaisical attitude, you're never going to be able to be offered that opportunity.
100%.
Whereas somebody and maybe that doesn't happen. I mean, it's not going to happen for everybody, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, it's interesting to watch somebody perform with that level of passion. And then when they do encounter that in their life outside of that situation, they go and encounter it, that they start doing something, they start in sales maybe, or they start in product development or something, and they realize, holy crap, this is my passion, this is my calling. They're going to remember what it felt like when they acted as if while they were washing those dishes. They're going to remember, oh my God, this feels a lot like that when I was pretending.
But it's so funny because I've had past jobs before where I'm literally like picking up poop.
Horses?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's literally picking up horse poop. And you literally have to have this like thought in the back of your mind, almost like someone's like filming you.
Yeah.
Like there's a movie of your life right now that's happening. And like, this is the moment where it's like, you're literally just picking up poop. But everyone's watching you. And it's like, how much passion can you put into picking up poop? And that's how much passion you're going to bring into every other thing that you do. How you do anything is how you do everything. And it's so cool when you start to play with those ideas in your day-to-day life and get yourself psyched about where you're going. Yeah. Not necessarily where you are right now, because sometimes we're not where we want to be right now, but where you're going.
Yeah.
You're picking up poop. Hey, you're just there right now. You're not going to be picking up poop for the rest of your life.
You're only 6 years away from co-running one of the biggest real estate teams in Montreal.
Got me.
It also reminds me of this story. I don't. Have you read Tom Sawyer by any chance?
No, I haven't read it. I just know like the story.
Yeah. The best part of that whole book is when he convinces other people to pay him to do his chores. So he does that. He's whitewashing the fence, and these kids are like, "Oh, what are you doing? You're whitewashing the fence." And he's like, "Yeah, it's the best thing ever." And because he's doing it with so much passion, he's attracted people to it, right? And then these people are like, "Oh my God, how do I get in on this?" And he's like, "Well, sure. I mean, you could help out if you want." He starts by recruiting people for free. They don't end up paying him. But then as people start getting more and more excited about this idea that he's made like this huge thing, he's like, "Sure, I might let you help out with my chores, but what's in it for me?" Yeah. And he starts, I don't remember, I think he got like marbles or something like that. But I always think about that. And that situation would have never happened had he not displayed an immense amount of passion for a job that he obviously didn't like doing. So fun story. I like it.
Well, and I think that goes into that vision. Like you can make so much more out of things if the vision is really clear in your own mind. One of the books that really helped me in vision building and in just kind of getting myself organized was The Miracle Morning. And one of the things that Hal Elrod in this book, one of the things he talks about, which really stuck with me, was every morning waking up like it's Christmas.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Just like, think of that. Waking up every single morning, like every day is Christmas, because there's so much you can get out of this day. There's so many presents you can unwrap. That's just life. And you think about it, and if you're like a cynical person, you're like, shut up. Your life's great. I get it. Shut up.
Yeah.
But like, if you start waking up every single day thinking every day could be Christmas, well, hey, yeah, guess what? Every day is going to be Christmas for you.
Also, there's just such a huge difference between how do you wake up for like a normal day at your job normally versus how you'd wake up. I don't know if you're really into football, how you wake up on football Sundays being like, yes, it's a day I can finally relax and, watch some football and like be with my buddies or whatever. And there's a huge difference. The first time I experienced that was when I got into snowboarding. And like, even the people who had been skiing and snowboarding with me, not with me, but had been skiing and snowboarding for a long time, even they weren't like this because it wasn't like new honeymoon stage for them. But I'd wake up at like 5 a.m. and be like, we got to get first tracks. I want first tracks on the mountain, right? But it's like, I would never have woken up. This is when I was a kid. I would never have woken up with that kind of fire for a job. But until I was able to kind of frame my mind like, hey, if I can do it for that, I can do it for this. That makes sense.
Well, and it's interesting too, because if you start to envision where you want to go, right? You start thinking about what that future can look like. It's almost like a puzzle. You know what the end, you have the box and you're looking at the box and you're like, hey, how do I put these pieces together? Right. And then you start going on your journey and figuring out each step of the way what the pieces of the puzzle are and how to fit them in. Mm-hmm. And if a piece doesn't fit, well, that piece doesn't fit and you move it out, right? So how did you go from looking at the box to getting all of these pieces together for Montreal's Elite Real Estate Group and ERS for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think predominantly it was finding really good mentors in my life. So one of my first mentors was obviously my dad, and he's just awesome. I could do an entire 3-hour podcast about how awesome my dad is and how awesome my mom is. It would probably be the same podcast, but he really started me on that. He taught me from a very young age that, sales is the bomb. It's where you want to be. And I think it's because he saw I was relatively gifted in that regard. But then, as you grow, you want different things from different mentors. And I knew there was some things my dad was amazing at and could give me, but I knew that there were some gaps that needed to be filled. So I found other mentors along the journey. So when I was at my previous real estate office, I found Rock Thomas, who's a great mentor to me and still is a great mentor, whether he knows it or not, a great mentor to me. And then he was the one that introduced me to Jeff Cohn, who I now co-own Elite Real Estate Systems with. And so all of these people kind of offered different perspectives and different ways of lives that allowed me to kind of see the future a little bit better. But that's what good visionaries do, is they can always find a way to see the future. And so if you can pair yourself with people like that and you can, marry that skill, it can get really, really exciting. And that's what I've gleaned from my relationships with my dad, Rock, Jeff, all those people.
And like, so actually, I'll just talk about your dad really quickly, because your dad has like this superpower where he's just able to be a coach without even knowing he's a coach. He's just like the chillest guy. And then you like walk out of a conversation with him and you're like, wait a minute. He just taught me something.
I really hope he watches this and hears that, because he's gonna absolutely love that. He's gonna absolutely love that.
Yeah. But then you also mentioned having to reach beyond or reach into a different arena and find another coach for each different aspect of your life. So I think, as much as we do need coaches in our lives, it's really cool to hear like we do need guidance from different people for different areas of our lives. We're not going to find one coach.
And yeah, absolutely. And the idea is pretty simple. It's just find somebody who's living the life that you really want. Nobody ever hits at 100%. It's like Rock's amazing. I wouldn't trade my life for his at 100%. There were at times certain portions where I would be like, man, if I could trade my financial life for his right now, I would do that in a heartbeat. At certain times, there's going to be different things, right? But you try and find somebody that's hit probably 80% of, man, I want a life that looks like that. And when you hit that, then you're like, okay, let's find out what this person is doing on a regular basis. What makes this person different? What makes this person a different beast? And find out all the habits. Yeah.
Does it need to be like a person that you can reach out and touch, or could you say like Kevin Hart? Like,
great question, man. And I think you actually ran this training once too. So thank you for the leading question. But no,
tell me how great I am.
So John has spoken about this before, and it's the idea of having imaginary mentors. Where imagine you finished your day, and let's say you idolized, like I do, Tom Brady. Imagine every single day you had a round table discussion like I'm having with you right now, but I'm having it with Tom Brady. How would that person react to your day? Do you think that you lived up to what he would expect from you in that day, or whatever? Likelihood is not very high for most people on a daily basis to match what Tom Brady would expect. But it's a really cool barometer to shoot for.
I love the idea of like having a person to hold yourself accountable to that is kind of ethereal. And it's almost like that idea of just having people watch you. Like you move differently. You are different when you're held accountable to a higher level. And what's a higher level than freaking Tom Brady?
Yeah. Or The Rock for you, right?
Or The Rock. Like you didn't wake up at 3:00 in the morning. What's wrong with you? Like, do you just hate your life?
Would you not want to be ripped? Come on.
I was tired.
Were you not filming 6 movies simultaneously? And yeah, it's funny, man.
But I think that's cool. Like our minds are so powerful, and our vision can be something that pulls us out of bed and it pushes us into another arena if we have these different tools in place to get ourselves there. And it can be, every day can be Christmas. Hal Elrod. Every day can be.
I totally agree. I think that the last tool that I wanted to touch on is the ability to course correct. Because you might find that, okay, so you've got the situation that you're in right now. You're living at an extreme level of passion and intensity in what you're doing. You've found a mentor who you believe you want your life to look like that person's life. And maybe it is a tangible, real mentor that's helping you on a daily or weekly basis or what have you. Or maybe it's a coach. Maybe you go out and get coaching. And now you're on your way. But if you're not checking where you're at every 2 weeks, month, 3 months, you could be going down the complete wrong path. And just course correcting even a couple of degrees can make a huge impact on the trajectory long term. So how did you manage your path from where you were at to where you are now? And what kind of course corrections had you made, or had you felt like you had to make over the last, 6, 8 years, 10 years, whatever?
Well, it's actually so funny because that's so like where we're at right now as a company. With Montreal's Elite, we're actually at that point where what got us here, and we're thankful for it. But what's going to get us to the next place is going to be something different. So we have to course correct, and we have to look, at different structures. But for me, it really has been all of these imaginary mentors that have gotten me to this point, and all of the different exercises that I've learned from the different lessons along the way. The thing that's crazy for me right now is going back and doing it all again with a new lens, the lens of, John 2023 versus John 2014. Right? Yeah. Like it's such a difference to go back and see like, oh my God, I got this from that lesson, but it's completely different now. And I need to do a whole new plan for moving forward, what we're going to be doing. And we're working on that right now with a lot of the EOS stuff that we're working on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's being extremely self-actualized, I think, is a huge portion of it, because you can BS your way through almost anything. And it's the easiest person to BS, spoiler alert, is yourself. You can have such an easy time saying, oh, I really worked as hard as I possibly could today. Most of the time that's BS, right? Like anybody who's ever read a Goggins book knows that's total BS.
Gotta have a little rock in your ear, the rock Dwayne Johnson. You're sleeping, it's 3:00, get up.
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure. And there's always more that you can be doing. And it's a good balance to have where you feel like you can be doing more, but also, being at least satisfied if you feel like you've worked enough for that day. I think there's a good balance there, but it's something to strive for at the end of the day, but it's just setting an expectation for yourself and making sure that you know your numbers. So at the end of the day, it's like, if, for instance, let's say I'm always going to come back to sales because that's my domain. But if you know you need to be making X amount of contacts or X amount of conversations on a weekly basis to be able to attain your goal of X amount of dollars by the end of the year, that's such an easy metric to track and an easy metric to check in on a weekly or monthly basis. Say, hey, am I on track? Are you on track or off track? It's very, very simple. But being self-actualized is knowing when, are you counting some stuff that maybe you shouldn't be counting? Are you letting yourself skirt by? Are you watching 3 hours of Netflix a day? You know what I mean? Like being hard on yourself when you know you need to be hard on yourself. And
well, just to jump on that really quickly, especially for the real estate industry, this wonderful thing happens in real estate where you get referrals and you're just like sitting down in a chair and like your phone rings and you're like, okay, my phone rang. And you say, oh, it's a deal. Okay, great. And then like you get an email and you're like, oh, another deal. Okay, I can't move because deals are just falling on my lap here. So, but then you don't do the other work.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah, nobody move.
There's a beautiful balance in the universe right now. Don't screw it up.
but you still have to do the other stuff that got you to that point where you're getting those deals in. Yeah. And I'm sure other sales environments are comparable to that. But we do see that happen. To your point, you can't lie to yourself. You can't be like, well, I only made 10 contacts instead of 20 and I got my 2 deals, but they were, referrals that just came to me out of nowhere. Yeah.
Right. Which shouldn't be counted for that metric because that should be happening regardless.
Exactly.
It's like if an insurance broker or insurance agent started counting the residual money on an annual basis. It's like, no, dude, that's not new business. That's recurring existing business. Yeah. But it's funny, man. It all comes down to how jacked up are you about life on a regular basis. And I don't remember who said this. I think it was Jim Rohn or something, but it was something along the lines of, a lot of people say, well, motivation doesn't work. And you go to a seminar or something and you get pumped up and it goes away after a little while. And it's like, well, by that same logic, showering doesn't work either. We recommend it daily for a reason.
Yeah.
So if you need to wake up and throw on some YouTube inspirational stuff, you want Goggins to yell at you for 20 minutes to get you going in the morning, that's cool too,
It's so funny that you say that because I've just recently started doing... I stopped listening to music as much because I was more into like the audiobooks and podcasts and stuff like that. But I'm going back to music now a little bit more.
All the Shock Therapy fans just cried a little bit when you said that. Like, no, John, you were the chosen one.
You love music. What are you doing?
You kept your hair the longest for the longest.
That's why you're not waking up at 3 a.m. But I've noticed that like having something that just hypes you up and gets you excited. It's not like it to your point, it's like showering, right? You have to do it consistently. You have to have these moments in your life that are set for learning. You have moments in your life that are set for like your growth and the exercises you'll do to grow yourself. But then you also have to have this like leisure section too, and this like enjoyment and hype up section that I had kind of removed. And when you remove it becomes imbalanced and you don't have the excitement that's there. So having that music, like you said at the beginning, like what hypes you up and gets you excited about your future makes you feel like dominant, makes you feel like every day's Christmas. That was me who said that. Don't steal my credibility
Go
from my
you.
words. I am the best. But it goes to like a song by Shawn Mendes, and I don't listen to a lot of Shawn Mendes
Sure you
songs.
don't.
I
We
don't.
all believe you.
But he has a song, Something Big. And whenever I hear that song, I get hyped up because there's this point where he says it's like when you take the shot and you know you're going to hit it. And you're just like, man, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
That's tangible. I know that feeling when I take a shot and I'm like, that's going in. Like,
Yeah.
I just know it's going in.
Yep.
Boom. You go to a listing presentation. You're like, I got this. I know I'm getting this.
Yep.
This is done.
That's visualization, dude.
Yeah.
So it's funny that to come full circle and talk about vision right as soon as you bring up visualization, because I think it's so important. It's like for a long time when I was a kid, I didn't really understand the concept of vision. I didn't understand what it really meant. I was like, I'd have The Rock or whoever on the stage talking about vision, and I'd be like, I don't understand. Like, what does that even mean? Like, you see something? What? It completely went over my head. I'm a late bloomer. I'm self-admitted, extremely late bloomer. So when I compared it more to visualization, I understood it more. Because once again, coming back again, full circle to my dad, it's one thing that he instilled in me from a super young age. He'd be driving me to basketball practice or basketball game rather, and he would tell me, close your eyes, visualize every shot you're about to take in the game. And imagine that at a super big scale of imagine what your life's going to look like in 3 years. What do you need to do? Who do you need to be to get there? And I think that's how you find your vision. You obviously everything that you do, whether it's washing dishes, mopping floors, waiting tables, working in sales at a phone booth or a place, an electronic store or whatever. What do you want your life to look like in 3 years? Know that that's what it's going to look like in 3 years. Know it's going to go in. Know that shot is going to hit, right? Find the mentor, find the person that's going to give you the example for you to follow. And then make sure that every 2 to 4 weeks, you're having a really honest, self-actualized look inward to yourself to say, okay, am I on the right track? Am I hitting the numbers that I need to be hitting? And they may not be sales numbers. They might be, how many times did you work on your business plan this week? How many times did you look at your vision board this week? How many times did you, stop yourself from going to Starbucks this week or whatever it might be? But everybody's course correction is going to look a little bit different. But I think if we follow those 3 things, you're going to be on a really, really good path to achieve that vision.
List the 3 things again. Go.
Do everything with a super high level, huge passion in everything that you do.
Yeah.
Find a mentor, find a person who's living the life that you want to live and execute exactly what they're doing. And then every 30 days or 2 weeks, depending on how crazy you are, course correct. Make sure that you're hitting what you need to hit every 2 weeks, every month, and you're going to achieve that vision.
Hell yeah. Honestly, I 100% agree.
Thanks so much for hanging with us today and talking about vision and how to get there. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about how to find time for your startup.